Hello and welcome back to Bible Class for the Nations. My name is Pastor Stan, and we are still here. In the last class, we were talking about you are not just a man, and this is part C to it. All right, you are not just a man. All right, there is a subtopic on our general topic. Death is not normal for a child of God, except by choice or by ignorance. That's what we've been discussing. Now, if this is just the first time into the series, I will advise you begin with the first class teaching. All right, so they can be on course, because this is a very sensitive topic. You have never heard it before. You know that death is not normal for a child of God, except by choice or by ignorance. Yes, it is true, but you may not have heard it before. So this is a sensitive topic. I will advise you to begin with the first video coming down, the first classes in the videos. Then you'll get to understand exactly what we've been discussing. All right. So now we want to look at certain scripture now. First, 2 Peter. 2 Peter. Remember, we are talking about you are not just a man. 2 Peter chapter 1. Huh. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4. Let me read from verse 3. According to his divine power, hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that called us to glory and virtue. He said he had given to us. It's not something going to give. He had given to us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him. Through the knowledge of him. Knowledge of him. That it's not just ordinary knowledge. There is knowledge, that something that you know and begin to act based on your knowledge. Act upon your knowledge is what I'm talking about here. That is the knowledge I'm talking about here. It's not your ordinary knowledge. All right? So, he said, according to his divine power, hath given unto all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that called unto glory and virtue. Now remember, the Bible said all things. It came short of the glory of God. Fell short of the glory of God. But now he has called us to glory and virtue. Virtue, honor, excellence, power. All right, now, verse 4 now is what we're going to look at. He said, whereby I gave it unto us exceeding great and precious promises. Exceeding great and precious promises. By these great and precious promises, ye may be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. Divine nature. Oh, my goodness, divine nature. Now, divine nature is the nature of God. That is the nature of divinity. You see, when you talk about divine nature, I want you to understand something very important here. I want you to understand something very important here. My goodness. Now, you see, the divine nature he's talking about here, now when you talk about partaker of the divine nature, partakers of the divine nature. Now, don't look at it like you take my own, you take your own, I take my own. That is not the idea. You know, partaker of the divine nature. So I take my own, you take your own. You take your own, I take my own. That's not what he means. When he says partaker, he's talking about you have become, it's the way you talk about We are joint heirs with Christ. Joint heirs with Christ. It's not the same as co-heirs with Christ. It's joint heirs. So when we talk about divine nature, the word there, partakers, is the word koinonos. It's the Greek word, koinonos. That means to be, that it also like fellowshipping, sharing, and then rubbing shoulders with your comrades. That's what I'm talking about. So he's not talking about something that you take it when you go. No, it's something that you are not part of it now. He has brought us in that class. So divine nature, divine theos. So nature, physis. So theos is actually God. Though the translators they put divine there, but they're trying to say God's nature. You see there? So it's and the word physis that they call nature is not actually nature per se. The actual word there that we understand here, you can look at it to be like kind, where you get mankind. All right? We are now comrades, we are sharers in the God kind of life. That's what he's telling us there. You know, sharer, fellowshipping in the God kind of life. You are now being part, you have been brought into this. That's what he's talking about here. So when he say, you know, partaker of the divine nature, he's talking about sharing in the divine, in God life, in God kind of life, the God kind, the life of the God kind. So you see, so when he says child of God, he's talking about you are a God. You are a God. You have been brought into the class of deity. That's what he's telling you. So a child of God is not a man. A child of God is God. Look at Jesus said, oh, if they shall drink any dirty thing, it shall not hurt them. That is not natural man. Ordinary men take in any dirty thing will hurt them. But because you are a God, if you take any dirty thing, it cannot hurt you. Look at Paul on the island of Malta. We'll read that later on. But look at snake bite the man. He couldn't die. While others were expecting him to die. All those that were on the island, they were expecting him to die because it was a very poisonous snake. But the man he didn't even feel harm. The Bible says he didn't feel any harm. He just shook that thing on the fire and doing a different thing. Other people were worried about Paul. Paul was not worried about anything. Now, this is not a special gift of an apostle. He was proofing. He was proofing the God life. The God life. That's what Paul was proofing there. So you can know that you are not just a man. You are not just a man. He didn't want to talk about the natural man knowing the things of the spirit, the natural man. And then he didn't want to say to us in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, he said, you are acting like a man. So these people, they taught the church, but the church, you see, at their level, there are a lot of things they didn't understand. They didn't understand a lot of things. And because they didn't understand a lot of things, all that came after them, they continue with the ignorance. About 2,000 years that ignorance has gone on. So everyone feel that death is just normal. So anybody can die, so the non-Christians die, the Christians die. No. Death is not normal for a child of God, except by ignorance or by choice. That's the only thing. But other than that, you live. So we're going to stop here now for this particular class so that we can continue in the next class. Thank you very much. God bless you. Josiah, look at this man.